You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Ink Dependence. I'm Mike. Today we have an ink from the Sailor 50 States collection, and this came to us courtesy of Dromgoole's pens in Houston, Texas, so go check them out at dromgooles.com. This came as a surprise and a thing I ordered a little while ago. I got this one and also Texas, which I'll have coming up very soon, and my home state here. And so New York from the Sailor 50 States collection comes in this little bottle. This is a 20 ml bottle, and it is a little bit pricey at $25. Sometimes you can find it on sale for like 20, 22-ish, but $25 is the price of this bottle. Get in here. Oh, forgot about that. Comes with this little pamphlet thing, which is kind of fun, and sort of tells you why the colors are the colors that they have. So the Texas one is brown because it looks like leather, and Texas has a lot of leather history. And then New York is inspired by a famous baseball team that resides here. Can you guess which one? I'll leave it to you to guess which one. I'll tell you, my wife's family are huge fans of that team. So this is Sailor New York, and as you can see here, it's going to be a dark ink. And actually, you can see a little bit of like the green highlight and that sort of thing in the bottle as I move it around, which is very interesting. Okay. So, take that off, and there's actually none on the cap. Let me give it a little bit of an overturn here. Just get a little bit of ink on the cap. Didn't really get much there either. It doesn't stick to the cap. But this is a dark blue, and you can see perhaps around the edge here, there's a little bit of sheen. I'm not going to swirl this around too much because I don't want to splop any more ink on my glorious desk here. So, here is the ink on some paper. And this is what it looks like. So I've got it here on my my Galen board, my brand new sheaf of Rhodia paper here. My usual review paper is this Rhodia 80 grams per square meter stuff. Just started a new pad of it. Very nice. And as you can see, 50 States New York from Sailor is it's a dark blue. It's kind of a navy-ish blue. It's definitely a blue and not like a blue-black, doesn't lean green, none of that stuff. But as I note here, it has some shading, and you can see that here, and you can see it a little bit in the text. But it also shades green and red, which is kind of weird, right? So here, you see a little bit of red sheen where the ink is put down darkly. A little bit here as well, and it's going to be hard to see, but there is some in there too. But when I put it on my Colodex card, you definitely get some more green sheen, and I've seen that on various papers as well. So, interesting stuff going on here. It seems like some papers make it sheen a little bit red, some papers make it sheen a little bit green. So, yeah, wild stuff. I've never seen an ink shade sheen two different colors. So, I have this in 3 pens because why do I have it in 3 pens? Oh, I think I have it in 3 pens because I put it in these 2, and then I got this pen. I was like, well, I want to try it in a really broad nib. So, we'll start with the finest one. So we'll start with the finest one, which is this one that I got. It's a custom-made pen from my friend John Albert, who made it out of Ultem and Argentium. Really fun stuff, but it's got a Jowo fine nib in here, and I think this Jowo fine leans a little bit to the dry side, perhaps, and it is quite fine for a fine nib in my experience. So that's what these little lines are here and this line here in the text. And from this nib, you get a very, very dark color. You can tell it's blue, but only just barely. It looks very, very dark. So very deep on this one. And not a huge amount of sheen or anything. No real shading from this nib, I think just because it's so fine. Then, moving up the track, we have this Esterbrook SD. This is the oversized one, which is a big old pen, and I keep an Esterbrook nib in here. My favorite Esterbrook nib is the Esterbrook 2314M. I know, it's an unwieldy way to label nibs, but there you go. Which is sort of an oblique stub medium, and I love this nib. It is so good. I've tried the fine and the broad versions of this, and the medium is just the sweet spot. And that's this line here, which is a very medium sort of line, but you get these like nice angular bits from the stub oblique, and I think it's a very sort of normal flow in terms of wetness and that kind of thing. And so I think this actually looks maybe the best in this nib. And if I had it in broader stubs, I might like it there too. I like the way this ink looks when you spread it out a little bit, and I think this does a good job of that. And you do get a little bit of the sheen coming out in this one as well. And then on the big end of the spectrum, this is the Diplomat Excellence A in that red color with the guilloche, really cool. And this has a 14K broad nib on it, and the 14K broad nib is a little bit on the wet side, not super wet or anything. But I actually think this ink runs a little bit on the dry side. It's not as dry as like Kyoto or something like that, but it is a little bit on the drier side for a Sailor nib, I think. And here you can see, I was like, yeah, this is where you start to see the pops of green sheen. And then I was like, wait a minute, where's my green sheen though? So the green sheen doesn't show up on Rhodia. I don't know why. Like, it oughta. Rhodia usually has plenty of sheen showing up, but I'm not really getting a whole lot of sheen here, which makes me, I'm curious as to how that happens. Okay, so as far as performance and such, it's pretty good even on the 20-pound paper, which is this right here. This is 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper from Staples, and it's bad paper, just straight up. And you can see that there is a little bit of feathering here and there in some lines, but this paper is, again, very bad. So you're not going to see that on anything better than this, which is everything. And then on the back, you get a little bit of bleed through, especially you get like some spots with the broad. You get some show through and stuff with the other two nibs. But I'm seeing on my screen, it looks like it's more like bleed through than it is. It's not very real apparent in person. So yeah, pretty good here. I mean, it's better than all the other things I have on this page. Okay, so there you go. Let's get some water on this, do a little water drop test, and then let's look at it on some other papers and next to some other inks. I will tell you that this ink doesn't really look much like any of the other inks that I have, which is interesting. I don't have too many inks that are just like unique in that way, because I have a lot of blue inks, and I dig blue ink. Okay, all right. Get a little wild. Okay, got a little wild. Let's mop this up before Mike does any more disastering. Do not want to be a total disastery here. Blue ink everywhere. Water. All right. Let's dab this guy here. All right. Okay, disastery averted. Anything pushed through the other side here? Nope, looks good. Looks nice and clean. So you can see here that a lot of the blue came up. There's a whole lot of... This is a more complicated ink than it looks, I believe, and that's probably why it has like the dual sheen depending on the paper and how it looks either kind of black or has this nice navy blue tone that you get up here. But yeah, enough of it stuck around, I think, to call this water resistant. Although a lot of the it will move, but you can definitely read it after you mop it up. So if you slop your coffee or your tea or whatever over this, you'll be okay. You'll be able to read it. I can read all this, and all those showed up. Okay, so let's take a look at the chromatography, which is right here. And yeah, it's a really interesting chromatography, right? I mean, look at this. You've got this... Come here. Could not get it off the table. You have this line down here where it started, and that's got a little bit of like black or gray or something in it, and that sticks around for sure. And then it draws up all these other colors. You've got violets in here. You've got this like cerulean up at the top. You got a couple of like really dark streaks here in the middle. This is an interesting ink. Has a lot of interesting stuff going on in it, and that's pretty cool. There's some on my finger. So yeah, all right. Okay, let's look at this on some other papers. Firstly, my ink journal. This is my my ink journal Tomoe River, and still have some pages left in this one. Good. So here it is in the Diplomat Excellence A, which is that broad nib. Let me scooch in here. Yep, there we go. Scooched way in. And you don't actually see a whole lot of sheen on this one either. There's a little bit, but there could be more. This is really interesting ink. Sometimes it shows a lot of sheen, sometimes it just doesn't do it. And then up here is the John Albert pen with that FC Fine nib, and a little bit of red sheen in that one. I think more sheen in that one than you get from this from the broad nib. I don't really know why. And then lastly, where's the other one? There it is. So yeah, it was in this SD for sure early on. And I think I still like it best in this one. I think this is the way to go. This like sort of medium stubbish thing. Dig it. dig it. And then, this is my currently inked Inky Fingers notebook. Thank you very much to those viewers who said, hey, Mike's almost out of Inky Fingers notebooks, and I have extras. I'm going to send him some. I have several of these now, and thank you so much. I am set for a while, so that was amazing. Love my viewers. All right, so here is the oversized Esty with that oblique medium nib, and it looks very medium on this paper. That's not my favorite look, honestly. I like it a lot better in this nib than most others, but for some reason the fine nib actually I think is the standout here. For some reason, I don't know, man. Ink and paper and nibs are always an interesting experience. And then here. There we go. Here we go. More zoom on this camera than I'm used to. So this one, I take it back. It looks best in this one. This 14K broad looks gorgeous on this paper with this ink. Really dig it. And there you go. More sheen, I think, right in here. Okay. So let's look at a whole bunch of color samples. This is the Colordex card, which is a very nice thick paper, and yeah, you get that green flash over here from this one. A little bit of red up in here, but primarily I see green sheen on this one. And then you flip it over, and I wrote it with all three of those nibs on here. This is the thing I do with these Colordex cards, is one side is the ink and where I got it from, Dromgoole's, and the year usually, and then the name, and then a swatch. And then on the back, when I ink it up, I try to remember to go and find the card and write with the nib on it, so you get all of those variations. Okay, so there's that one. Now this, like I said, this ink does not have a whole lot of inks that are close to it. I think maybe this is kind of the closest, and this is Sailor Shikiori Onaga, which is another of my favorite deep blues, and it also has a bit of a green sheen, and a little bit of like red highlights and that sort of thing, but yeah, I think this is probably the closest I've got. I have here, come on, Three Oysters Min, just to throw like a regular blue in there, which is a brighter blue color. Again, a little bit of red sheen. Min is a nice little ink, but doesn't have anything like the dark overtones that you get in this 50 States New York. And then I've got Robert Oster's Blue Night, which I think has some of the same kind of undertones, but Blue Night doesn't get as dark as New York does. New York is just a darker blue overall. And lastly, I told you there weren't very many of these. Well, let's do both of these. Pulling them out of my Rolodex keeper here. This is Cult Pen's Deep Dark Blue, which is not as deep or as dark as 50 States New York. So if you want a deep dark blue, New York, not necessarily the Cult Pens. Although this is a very nice one, I hear. I haven't actually had a chance to use this. I got this from my friend Eleanor, who I haven't seen because Eleanor I only ever see her pin shows, and we haven't had pin shows in a while. Then Cross Blue Black, which I got from Anderson Pens, and I think Cross Blue Black is a very nice blue black. It's got some of the same like tones, but this is more like a blue black than New York is. New York is a very dark blue, whereas this is a blue black, I think. And to me, the variation is just like, where does it go? This goes like to black, and the undertones are kind of grays and blacks and stuff, and more smoky. And this is just blue. Just a really dark blue. Okay, so there we have Sailor 50 States New York. Definitely check this one out at your favorite Sailor vendor. I'll have a link in the description to where this one came from, which is Dromgoole's. Thank you very much, Dromgoole's, for sending this ink out for review. I dig it, and I look forward to more of these 50 States inks because I think this is a cool thing to do. Good job, Sailor. All right, also, these are North American exclusives, so if you're not in North America, you'll need to go to a North American store. Okay, that's it. I will see y'all later on in another video. And whoa. All right. Peace out.